This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News. First, the highlights. Fubara appoints Benibo as new SSG in Rivers State. INEC accredits 121 observers for governorship poll in Anambra. Federal government enforces no work, no pay against ASU members. CBN demands strong fiscal monetary coordination. EU plans Gaza-Egypt border monitoring mission Wednesday. NPFL condemns attack on Shooting Stars players and officials. I almost lost my life in June, according to Adesua Etomi. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has approved the appointment of Benibo Anabrabo as the new secretary to the state government. A statement signed by Dr. Honor Sirawu, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information and Communications, said Benibo Anabraba has been sworn in at the State Executive Council Chambers, Government House, Port Harcourt. The appointment follows Fubara's recent reinstatement to office after a period of political and legal turbulence that led to his suspension under emergency rule declared by President Bola Tinubu. This is coming after Tinubu had on March 18, 2025, declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, suspending the governor, his deputy, and members of the House of Assembly, and cited the prolonged political crisis between Fubara and his predecessor and political benefactor Nyesom Wike as the reason. And in Fubara's place, Tinubu appointed retired Vice Admiral Ibok Eta Ibas as sole administrator with a mandate to restore political stability. Ibas also dissolved boards and suspended heads of parastatals he met in office, and since Ibas exited the state on September 18, the fate of Fubara's appointees had remained uncertain. The Rivers State House of Assembly, at its first sitting after the lifting of the emergency rule, had called on the governor to submit a fresh list of commissioner nominees for screening alongside the 2025 budget for passage. His return to the governorship has coincided with a outbreak of administrative changes as the governor consolidates his team. Rivers State Police Command has arrested a child trafficking syndicate in the state. The syndicate, allegedly led by one Blessing Jack, a 54-year-old female resident of Timber Road, Igrita, Port Harcourt, had been allegedly exploiting vulnerable young mothers, stealing and selling their newborn babies for significant financial gains. A statement by the police PPRO SP Grace Iringekoko said on October 9, 2025, operatives of the command attached to the C4I intelligence unit through technical aided policing arrest of Blessing Jack at Igrita in Port Harcourt. A conversation between Blessing Jack and one Mali Oburu male revealed the syndicate's modus operandi was a recent incident where her associates had taken a woman's baby, claiming the baby had died but had been paid a sum of 2 million naira for the transaction. The transaction suggested that Blessing and her associates used fake scans and manipulate vulnerable pregnant women to obtain their babies, while preliminary investigation revealed that Blessing Jack had previously been imprisoned in Calabar for 3 years for child trafficking, highlighting her long-standing involvement in the illicit business. Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo has sacked Dr. Maureen Egoragbon as chair of the State Senior Secretary. Excuse me. Senior Secondary Education Board with immediate effect. The Secretary to the State Government, Ikilo Musa, declared the sack in a statement on Monday and named Dr. Rita Otibo Erewele as Egoragbon's replacement. The statement did not give reasons for the dismissal, but Erewele was described as an accomplished educationist and administrator with more than 2 decades of experience in Nigeria's education sector and holds a PhD in educational administration and planning, along with a master's and bachelor's degree in education from the University of Benin. Her contributions to policy development, teacher training, and curriculum enhancement have earned her recognition for excellence in academic leadership and educational reform, while earlier this month, Edo State Governor declared the absorption of 4,000 volunteer teachers under the Edo Star Teaching Program and recruitment of 500 new teachers to strengthen the state's education system. Commissioner for Education Dr. Padi Iyamo said the move reflected Governor Monday Okpebholo's commitment to rewarding dedication and addressing the dearth of teachers in public primary and secondary schools. Cross River State Governor Basi Otu launched the distribution of subsidized mini tractors to farmers cooperatives across the state as part of his administration's drive to boost mechanized farming, adding that the initiative, part of the governor's People First agricultural transformation agenda, is aimed at accelerating the state's transition to full-scale mechanized farming and empowering rural communities. Speaking during a flag-off ceremony held at the Ministry of Agriculture and Irrigation Development headquarters in Calabar, Governor Otu reaffirmed his administration's commitment to making agriculture the cornerstone of Cross River's economic development, adding that the mini tractors, which are fuel-efficient, terrain adaptable, and multifunctional, are designed to ease land preparation, reduce labor costs, and boost productivity. He said a total of 108 units is being rolled out in the first phase, while 324 tractors are also expected to be deployed statewide and will be managed under a cooperative model, enabling beneficiary groups to operate as community-based service providers. The approach, Otu said, ensures shared ownership, responsible management, and wider access, and also highlighted other flagship agricultural programs, including the cassava seed multiplication project, the project Grow Maize and Soybean Scheme in partnership with Flour Mills PLC, and a pilot phase of commercial sorghum production with Champion Breweries. He also said the ongoing distribution of improved cowpea seeds, fertilizers, and farm implements to smallholder farmers, as well as plans to establish new cocoa and coffee estates through public-private partnerships. Independent National Electoral Commission has accredited 121 domestic and 8 national organizations to observe the Anambra State governorship election, which is set to take place on Saturday, November 8, 2025. Accredited foreign observers include the British High Commission, the European Union, and the High Commission of Canada, among others, while on the domestic front, organizations such as Yaga Africa Initiative, the Electoral Hub, and the Center for Democracy and Development have been cleared to monitor the exercise. The observers are expected to access the conduct of the election and report on its transparency, credibility, and compliance with democratic standards, and INEC had earlier confirmed that 2.8 million voters are registered to participate in the election. The electoral body has released the final list of candidates and declared the official commencement of campaign activities, and 16 political parties met the submission deadline of May 12 to field candidates in the upcoming election. Some members of the Enugu State Executive Council have pledged their loyalty to Governor Peter Mbah as he prepares to defect from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress. Senior Special Assistant on Media to the Governor, Dan Nwome, on X, formerly Twitter, said the cabinet members were seeing declaring support for Mbah's imminent move to the ruling party, adding that the APC flag was also hoisted at the Enugu State Government House in anticipation of the governor's formal defection. Meanwhile, the APC has confirmed that Mbah will officially join the party on Tuesday, October 14, 2025 in Enugu. Speaking to journalists after his swearing in at the APC National Secretariat, the Enugu APC caretaker chairman Dr. Ben Nwoye said the governor would defect alongside several lawmakers and key political figures across the state. APC National Chairman Professor Nentawe Yiwada and Deputy National Chairman South Ima Eneoku have also supported the move as part of broader efforts to strengthen the party's structure and influence in the southeast. Lagos State government has assured public service nearing retirement of prompt processing and remittance of their retirement benefits, provided their documentation are complete and updated. This was made known during the 29th Retirement Benefit Documentation Seminar held for workers at the Adeyemi Bero Auditorium, Alausa, Ikeja. And while delivering his goodwill message, the head of service, Bode Agoro, commended the Lagos State Pension Commission for its commitment to a seamless retirement process for officers exiting the public service. He applauded the agency's consistency in organizing the seminars, describing it as a demonstration of the state's commitment to supporting its workforce through every stage of their service journey, adding that the seminar, third of its kind in 2025, was designed to equip retiring officers with essential knowledge on documentation, pension administration, and financial readiness. In his address, LASPEC's Director General Babalola Obinlana described the seminar as part of ongoing efforts to prepare officers retiring between January and June 2026 for a smooth transition into post-service life, and also underscored the importance of proactive planning, financial discipline, and emotional preparedness, urging participants to approach retirement with optimism. The seminar featured sessions led by pension experts, annuity service providers, and financial advisors covering topics such as pension documentation, healthcare management, and legal considerations. Lagos State government has reaffirmed its commitment to promoting the rights, health, and education of the girl child, pledging continued support for programs that equip girls to thrive, dream, and lead. The special advisor to the governor on health, Dr. Kemi Ogunyemi, who disclosed this at an event commemorating the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child, held at Dansol High School, Agindigbi, Ikeja, and represented by the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Health, Dr. Oluwatoni Adeyemi, said Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration remained dedicated to creating an enabling environment where girls could achieve their full potential. She said, true awareness goes beyond the absence of disease to include physical, mental, and social well-being, and urged girls to practice self-love and self-worth, resist exploitation, and aspire to lead while promoting fairness and inclusion. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has denied allegations by the All Progressives Congress that he is harboring the commander of the Osun State, Amotokunko Adekunle Omoyele, who is being sought by the police in connection with the killing of some residents of Akinlalu community by operatives of the security agency. The Osun APC, in a statement signed by its spokesperson, Kola Labisi, they accused the governor of shielding Omoyele from arrest, describing the alleged act as condemnable, irresponsible, wicked, and unpatriotic, and the opposition party challenged Adeleke to demonstrate a genuine commitment to justice by assisting the police in their investigation and handing over their Amotokin boss to security operatives. The APC said although Adeleke had earlier commended the police for their diligent and professional handling of the investigation into the killings, such praise would amount to lip service if he continued to protect Omoyele, who has been out of circulation since his alleged assassination attempt story was reported by the police. However, Governor Adeleke, through his spokesperson Olawale Rashid, dismissed the allegations as baseless, saying they were another example of a losing party struggling for relevance, and reaffirmed his administration's faith in the police investigation and insisted that his government would not interfere in the process. The Osun Amotekun has been in the spotlight for the wrong reasons since Tuesday, September 30, 2025, when 8 operatives reportedly invaded the Akinlalu community in Ife North local government area and shot several residents, killing 3 people, and the attack drew widespread condemnation from the public and civil society groups who accused the security outfit of excessive use of force and demanded the arrest and prosecution of the officers involved. Federal High Court sitting in Oshobo, Osun State, has adjourned hearing in a suit filed by reinstated All Progressives Congress APC chairman and councillors seeking legal determination of their tenure of office. The matter, which concerned the validity of local government elections conducted by Governor Ademola Adeleke's administration on February 22, 2025, was adjourned to November 27, 2025 for hearing. The suit was filed by Onibonu Kuta Sahid and 7 others against the Attorney General of the Federation and 6 other defendants, and the claimants are seeking a judicial clarification on whether their tenure of 3 years commenced from February 2025. They also wanted the court to determine whether the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, OSEC, could lawfully conduct local government elections on February 22, 2025, while their tenure was still subsisting, adding that the lingering disputes over the tenure of local government officers in Osun State has remained a matter of public debate since the Court of Appeal reinstated the APC elected chairman and councillors on February 10, 2025. During Monday's proceedings, counsel for the claimants, Mudin Adoye, filed a motion seeking an order restraining the defendants from interfering with the claimant's discharge of duties pending the determination of the substantive suit. Federal High Court sitting in Oshawa has adjourned judgment in the fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission (OSEC) against the Inspector General of Police and the Police Service Commission over the alleged disruption of the February 22, 2025 local government elections in Osun State. Honorable Justice A.A. Demi Ajayi fixed the judgment date for 17th November 2025 after hearing arguments from counsels representing both the plaintiffs and the defendants during Monday's proceedings, and the judge informed the open court that the date for the delivery of judgment in the suit will be duly communicated to both parties when ready. The suit filed by OSEC and its chairman, Hashim Abioye, challenges the actions of the Inspector General of Police and officers of the Nigerian Police Force who allegedly sealed off the Commission's head office and other offices across the state hours before the local government elections on February 22, 2025. The plaintiffs, while alleging that the police threatened to arrest the OSEC chairman and detained some of the ad hoc officers engaged for the elections, described the actions as unlawful and unconstitutional, said in the originating summons, the plaintiffs asked the court to determine whether they were not entitled to the enjoyment of their fundamental rights to liberty, private life, dignity of the human person, and ownership of property as guaranteed under Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. They further urged the court to declare the arrest and detentions of OSEC staff before the February 22 elections as illegal, unlawful, and unconstitutional, and to restrain the police from making further arrests or harassment related to the exercise, while the commission argued that the conduct of the police amounted to partisanship, stressing that the election had been sanctioned by the court after establishing that vacancies existed across the 30 local government areas in the state. Plateau State government has called for collective action to curb disasters across communities, stressing that disaster risk reduction is everyone's responsibility. The Executive Secretary of the State Emergency Management Agency, Sunday Abdul, who disclosed this on Monday during a press conference held in Jos as part of activities marking the 2025 International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction on 2025 global theme Fund Resilience, not disasters, said over the years, Plateau State has had experienced flood, conflict, erosion, drought, and other hazards that threaten lives, agriculture, infrastructure, and livelihoods. He said disaster risk reduction is everyone's responsibility and stressed the need for collective commitment from communities, development partners, the private sector, and the media to promote awareness and drive positive behavioral change. The Plasema boss also highlighted the agency's progress in disaster preparedness, early warning, and community engagement, which he said had helped reduce risks across the state, added the importance of investing in resilience through sustainable infrastructure, disaster education, and climate adaptation initiatives. He said Plasema had rolled out several key interventions, including community awareness campaigns, capacity building workshops, and partnerships with schools and youth groups to promote environmental stewardship after the state had experienced floods, conflicts, erosion, drought, and other hazards that have threatened lives, agriculture, infrastructure, and livelihoods. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice for Nigeria, Lateef Fagbemi, has commended the Minister of FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, for his efforts in providing accommodations and working spaces for court staff, judges, and administrators' welfare. Fagbemi, who disclosed this at official groundbreaking of the design and construction of residences for the heads of courts, including Court of Appeals, Federal High Court's Chief Judge of the FCT, Abuja, and President Industrial Court, rated Nyesom Wike as the best minister who pursued targets for the future of FCT residents.
The provision of secure and befitting accommodation for heads of courts will enhance operational independence, personal security, and institutional dignity, thereby enabling judicial officers to discharge their duties with great focus and authority. The issue of corruption would get reduced to the barest minimum, because even if you accuse the judiciary of corruption, what are they going to use the money for? For accommodation, it's already guaranteed. If it is about your salary, you take it for life. This speaks volumes of the present government's genuine commitment to strengthening the rule of law through practical and enduring investment in judicial system. The future of Nigerian judiciary is very bright. By these activities of the Honorable Minister of Federal Capital Territory, of seeing to the welfare of the judiciary, he has, thrown a very great, serious challenge to future ministers of Federal Capital Territory. He has issued or laid a benchmark by which the achievement of other ministers will be measured.
In his address at the event, FCT Minister Barrister Nyesom Wike said the project is a fulfillment of President Tinubu's promises made to improving judges' welfare.
As they retire, the property becomes their own. And that is approval of Mr. President. And that is why we issued the CFOs in their names. So any of you who are here now, don't think that when they are leaving tomorrow, you see people writing on pages of newspaper. Retired Chief Judge of FCT has taken our house. Retired Chief of Federal High Court has converted our house. The President of National Industrial Court has converted the House of National Industrial Court. The President of Court of Appeal has done the same. Please, the policy of Mr. President in this sense of court, as they are retiring, must go home with their houses. This is a live coverage. Nigerians are hearing you. The judges are hearing you. You are the one who gave the contract, is it not? What is the time duration?
12 months.
Say it, let them hear.
12 months, sir.
12 months. Contractor, what did he sign?
12 months, sir.
12 months. Agreement is what?
Agreement.
Settled. So, this project must be completed in 12 months' time and handed over to you. And the day you are retiring, stay fine, it's their house. The promise that was made to him. Of course, as a former lecturer, and of course, as a judge, and of course, as a president of Industrial Court, I know he will never forget it. Mr. President, let me say it again to you. Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not make promise and fail. And as his agent, I want to assure you, we will have to provide those houses for you, your judges.
While presenting the project over the overview, the Executive Secretary, Engineer Richard Dauda, highlighted the significance of the project.
Your Excellency, the FCT administration, in line with its statutory mandate of providing housing and infrastructure in the FCT, and in line with the Abuja Master Plan, made provision for the development of 4 fully furnished and serviced accommodation for heads of courts in Abuja. This aims to address the dearth of accommodation confronting the judiciary, which is impeding optimal performance of the third arm of government, with specific reference to the heads of court who are at the helm of affairs of the administration of justice in Nigeria. The projects are located in Asokoro District, cadastral zone A04, on plots 3003, 3002, 3000, and 292892, all in Asokoro District. Your Excellency, the project is awarded to Messrs. Details to Dot Development Nigeria Limited, and they are expected to complete the works in 12 months. The contractor is already mobilized and work has commenced on site. The scope of works for these projects include the construction of these 4 residences, each with several facilities, a 5-bedroom duplex, which is the main house, with a 3-bedroom guest house, service quarters, worship centers, swimming pool, gatehouse, generator house, full furnishing and servicing, as well as fencing external works, landscaping, car parks, water supply facilities, and power supply. Your Excellency, when completed, the project will provide the suitable and befitting accommodation for the 4 heads of court. This will improve their well-being in the course of carrying out their functions, will also improve efficiency and the right state of mind. Your Excellency, during construction, the project will provide opportunity for job creation for skilled and unskilled Nigerians.
Tragic incident at Wawa Cantonment. Niger State has left residents in shock after a soldier allegedly killed his wife before taking his own life. A statement by its acting assistant director, Army Public Relations, Stephen Mwachku, said Lance Corporal Aken Leyefemi, serving at 221 Battalion, Wawa Cantonment, is suspected to have committed the act on Saturday, but according to the Army, the bodies of Lance Corporal Femi and his wife were discovered in their apartment at Block 15, Room 24, corporals and below quarters within the cantonment. Preliminary investigation indicated that the soldier had been on duty at the time and had sought permission from his superior to attend the personal matters before returning, and the remains of the deceased have been preserved, and an in-depth investigation has also commenced to determine the circumstances surrounding the incident. Brigadier General Ezra Bakins, commander of the 22 Armored Brigade, also assured the public that the findings will be shared and further scrutinized the measures of preventing future occurrences. Troops of the Nigerian Army have killed several armed bandits during a fierce gun battle along the Tongan Magajiya Sabongari Road in Niger State, according to a post shared on Monday by security analyst Zagazola Makama on X. The bandits arrived in large numbers and engaged the troops in a heavy exchange of gunfire, but were overpowered by the soldiers' superior firepower, and several of the attackers were killed in the Makama. Makama also said the bandits fired at a military armored personnel carrier, damaging its 4 tires, but no casualties were recorded among the troops who were intensifying efforts to track down the fleeing bandits and restore peace in the area. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Do stay tuned.
These are exciting times for broadcasting in Africa. The National Broadcasting Commission is set to host the 14th Biennial Conference and Exhibition of African Broadcasters, Africast 2025 in Lagos, Nigeria. Participants will experience a week of world-class expositions showcasing the very best in creativity, innovation, and cutting-edge broadcasting technological advancement and trends in the global broadcast media ecosystem. Theme: Navigating the Digital Surge, Building a Resilient Africa Media Ecosystem for the Future. Date: Monday, October 20th to Friday, October 24th, 2025. Venue: Balmoral Convention Center, Sheraton, Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. Time: 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Visit www.africastexpo.com or email info@nbc.gov.ng. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting. Announcer, Management.
Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and the Chairman House Committee on Constitution Review, Honorable Benjamin Okeze Kalu, has reiterated the need for the Constitution Review exercise to produce a constitution that must work for Nigerians. Kalu will disclose this in his address at the third committee retreat on constitutional review held by the committee, which kicks off in Enugu. Said Nigerians want a constitution that empowers local government to deliver services, streamlines electoral justice, and strengthens fiscal federalism, as well as guarantees women's full participation in governance and enhances accountability at all levels. Kalu said a panel of constitutional lawyers, scholars, and policy analysts who will guide the deliberations, provide comparative perspective, have been assembled to help navigate complex legal and political terrain, as well as define the trajectory of Nigeria's democracy for the next generation. He said the committee, in discharging its responsibilities, must have a unity of purpose, legislative discipline, and a national interest as guiding principles, adding that members of the committee represent different constituencies, different parties, and different ideologies, insisting that on the issue of constitutional reform, members must speak with one voice as the amendments proposed must command broad bipartisan support if they are to succeed. The Deputy Speaker said the constitutional amendments are not ordinary bills and requires meticulous drafting, rigorous scrutiny, and careful sequencing, stressing that the committee must resist the temptation to overload the amendment agenda with contentious or politically divisive proposals and focus must be on achievable, high-impact reforms that enjoy widespread public support. Also speaking, Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba, represented by the Deputy Governor of the state, Ifeanyi Osai, stressed on the need to have a diligent judicial police and other reforms that will attend to the needs of the Nigerian people for speedy justice delivery.
Nigerians want a constitution that empowers local governments to deliver services, streamlines electoral justice, strengthens fiscal federalism, guarantees women's full participation in governance, and enhances accountability at all levels. Let me be clear. The work we do here in Enugu over the next few days will define the trajectory of Nigeria's democracy for the next generation. We will be remembered. The assembly that empowered local governments, thereby bringing governance closer to the people. We will be remembered. The assembly that shattered the glass ceiling, guaranteed women's full participation in public life.
Yeah, we've had this conversation about security and state police for so long in this country, and currently it's beginning to gain greater traction. But the truth of the matter is that in the long run, if we don't go back to proper police reform, it doesn't matter if it is state police or federal police or local government police, we may still be running around circles. And I will explain. For those of us who are lawyers and practice law, you will know that the content and context of investigation in this country is essentially detention and extraction of confession from witnesses. So, while we look at a legislative framework that will create state police, it's also good to look at the Police Act and see if Parliament will assist in developing operational guide that ensures certain level of investment in police.
House of Representatives has renewed its commitment to full energy reform, urging the federal government and relevant stakeholders to overhaul the nation's downstream petroleum sector to achieve efficiency in the sector. Speaking at the first annual Downstream Petroleum Week organized by the House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Downstream, the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas said the energy sector holds the key to unlocking the nation's economic growth and called for concerted efforts to reposition the entire industry. The Speaker, who was represented by the Deputy Speaker Honorable Benjamin Kalu, said the effective takeoff of the Dangote refinery marked a turning point in the nation's quest for energy self-sufficiency. Also described the conference as a significant step in the nation's quest for energy sufficiency and sustainability, saying Nigeria is at a critical point in its drive for industrialization, as well as actionable solutions to energy security gaps, pipeline insecurity, pricing fluctuations, and the full implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. The President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, who was represented by Senator Oyelola Ashiru, harped on the need to confront smuggling, sabotage, and inefficiency in the distribution system, and also stressed the need to expand gas infrastructure and strengthen the country's refineries, as well as modernize the storage and supply chain.
Nigerians therefore expect certain deliverables from this conference, especially as they concern the prevalent infrastructure deficit that has hampered the full optimization of liquefied petroleum gas, the LPG, and compressed natural gas, the CNG. Solutions to energy security issues, pipeline vandalism, and dubious pricing, and policy clarity over certain regulations in the sector. As part of the larger energy transition, this conference is expected to develop a roadmap for sustainable energy practices and discover opportunities in new technologies that power solar, that wind, and hydroelectricity.
No nation reforms without pain, and no people are transformed without resolve. Let no one imagine that journey to energy stability will be short or simple. There will be no moments of doubt, moments of difficulty, but if we stay the course, the result will be stronger, fairer, and more prosperous for the Nigerian nation. We must continue to confront smuggling, sabotage, and inefficiency in our distribution system. We must expand our gas infrastructure, strengthen our refineries, and modernize their storage and supply chain. We must also embrace the reality that the world is moving towards cleaner, renewable energy, and prepare our children not for the past, but for the future.
In his opening remarks, the chairman of the House Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, Honorable Ikenga Ugochinyere, urged labor unions and stakeholders in the oil industry to engage in constructive dialogue to resolve refinery disputes. On his part, the Minister of Petroleum Gas Resource, Ekpe Ekpo, said the sector has continued to face challenges relating to infrastructure, market, volatility, and supply chain, among others, and further called for sustainable collaboration between the executive and legislature to effect sound policy direction and consistent implementation.
On labor issues, it must be noted that no reform can succeed without industry harmony. The committee is aware of the recent labor concerns involving some of the refiners and sector unions, which, while such action issues are not uncommon in developing economies, they must never be allowed to undermine productivity or national stability. I therefore call upon both labor unions and industry operators to always pursue dialogue over disruption at all times. The SAL Committee stands ready to facilitate peace, fairness, and mutual respect in all industrial engagements.
We must also be honest about the challenges that persist. Our downstream sector continues to face issues related to infrastructure deficits, market volatility, supply chain inefficiencies, and the need for regulatory clarity. Addressing this requires sustained collaboration between the executive and legislature, underpinned by sound policy direction and consistent implementation. It is also a call for enhanced private sector participation, investment in technology, and adherence to global best practices.
House of Representatives has called for the implementation of agricultural policies and legislation to make Nigeria a food-secured nation, as well as the sustainability of food security and competitiveness that requires sound, effective legislation. Speaker of the House of Reps, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, who disclosed this during a public hearing on 3 bills by the House of Representatives Committee on Agricultural Production and Services, said the proposed bills are not just legislation but blueprints for a more secure, prosperous and self-reliant Nigeria. The Speaker, who was represented by the House Chief Whip, Honorable Ibrahim Isiaka, said agriculture remains the backbone of Nigeria's economy and the most reliable path to inclusive growth and poverty reduction, adding that the public hearing will offer all stakeholders, policymakers, farmers, researchers, investors and development partners opportunity to share valuable perspectives.
These proposals represent more than just legislation. They are a blueprint for a more secure, prosperous, and self-reliant Nigeria. They demonstrate our commitment to harnessing the vast potential of our agricultural resources to improve the lives of our citizens. This hearing aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope and agenda and the declaration of a state of emergency on food security, underscoring our collective resolve to tackle food insecurity and boost agricultural productivity. I urge every stakeholder, expert, and citizen to engage actively, sharing your insights, expertise, and concerns. Your voices are essential to crafting robust and effective laws.
The Minister of State for Agriculture, Senator Aliyu Saibi Abdullahi, in his presentation said Nigeria must sustain steady funding towards increased rice yield to close existing gaps, adding that the ministry and its agencies have aligned with most of the provisions. On his part, Chairman of the committee, Honorable Bello Kaoje, assured that the Parliament is committed to ensuring that every law passed strengthens productivity, enhances innovation, and provides real value to Nigerian farmers.
In agriculture, access to finance and ensuring that we are able to fund critical segments of the agricultural value chain is key. And I think that is what the NADF was established to achieve. Now, let me quickly move to the other aspects. The Farm Settlement Bill or Agency Bill, for us, at the outside, I would say is a good idea. But when we also look at the presence of the National Agricultural Land Development Authority, NALDA, we tend to say this might be a duplication of the function of NALDA. And as I speak to you, they are already having current farm settlement program in 2 or 3 locations. I'm sure they will be able to also make some very solid, presentations on that. But these are, initial take, like we said. It's not a bad idea, but I think we need to also look at existing framework and ensure that we are not duplicating.
As a committee, we are committed to ensuring that every law passed by this House strengthens productivity, enhance innovation, and provide real value to Nigerian farmers. We will continue to collaborate with the executive relevant agencies and the private sector to make agriculture a business that drives national prosperity.
Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun has described the passage of the Police Institute's Establishment Bill and the Nigerian Police Trust Fund Amendment Bill 2025 as a major milestone that will usher in a new era of strength, professionalism and efficiency within the Nigerian Police Force. A statement by the first Public Relations Officer, CSP Benjamin Hundeyin, Egbetokun commended the leadership and members of the National Assembly for their patriotic commitment to strengthening the Nigerian police through crucial legislative intervention, and also expressed deep appreciation to President Bola Tinubu for assenting to the bills, while describing the move as a clear demonstration of the administration's resolve to modernize and professionalize policing in the country. He said the Police Institutions Establishments Act will consolidate and modernize all police training and research institutions across the country, as well as strengthen their administrative framework and also expand academic capacity and align training curricula with international best practices in law enforcement, leadership investigation, technology, and community policing. Ibetokun said the new framework would help bridge decades-long gaps in training, infrastructure, and funding that have hindered effective policing, renewed legal and institutional framework, and also redoubled its efforts to raise training standards, nurture world-class officers, and consolidate ongoing reforms to deliver efficient, accountable, and citizen-focused policing services nationwide. He said the reforms would also enable police colleges and training schools to upgrade facilities, adopt modern technologies, and engage in research collaborations with reputable local and international institutions, adding that the new laws place strong emphasis on officer welfare and motivation, including improved service conditions, better health and insurance benefits, and enhanced housing and career development opportunities. Federal government has directed vice chancellors of federal universities across the country to strictly enforce the no work, no pay policy against members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities currently participating in the ongoing nationwide strike. A statement signed by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, in a circular copy to the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Permanent Secretary of Education, Pro-Chancellors of all federal universities, Director General of the Budgeter Office of the Federation, the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, the Federal Minister of Education expressed dissatisfaction over reports of the continued industrial action by ASU despite repeated calls for dialogue, stressing that government will no longer tolerate non-compliance with extant labor laws. The minister directed all vice chancellors of federal universities to immediately conduct a roll call and fiscal headcount of all academic staff in their institutions, and also instructed them to submit a comprehensive report indicating staff members who are present and performing their official duties and those absent or participating in the strike. And also further directed that salary payments for the period of work stoppage be withheld from those who fail to perform their duties, and also clarified that members of the Congress of University Academics and the National Association of Medical and Dental Academics who are not part of the strike are exempted from the directive and will not face any salary deductions. The minister also tasked the NUC to monitor compliance with the directive and submit a consolidated report to the ministry within 7 days of receiving the circular after the lecturers on Sunday declared a total and comprehensive warning strike starting from Monday, October 13, demanding the conclusion of the renegotiated 2009 FGN ASU agreement, the release of the withheld 3.5 months salaries, sustainable funding of public universities, revitalization of public universities, and cessation of the victimization of lecturers in Lasu, Prince Abubakar Audu University, and Futu, as well as others. Special Counsel to Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, Aloy Ejimako, has alleged threats to his life for handling the Biafra agitators case, stressing that he has been facing threats to his life and blackmail since Kanu defeated the Nigerian government over his extraordinary rendition. This is coming after, in June 2021, security agents had arrested Kanu in Kenya and subjected him to extraordinary rendition back to Nigeria, and upon his return, courts discharged and acquitted Nnamdi Kanu, but the Nigerian government has refused to set him free. He also attributed the challenges in court as only a setback that is temporarily frustrating ongoing legal battles. National Youth Service Corps has declared Thursday, November 6, 2025, as official date for the passing out ceremony of the 2024 Batch C-1 Corps members. According to a statement on Monday signed by the NYC Director of Information and Public Relations, Caroline Embu, the management approved the low-key events to mark the end of the service year for the batch, which began its orientation course from October 23 to November 12, 2024, adding that activities leading to the ceremony would commence with job advisory and counseling sessions for Corps members across various local government areas nationwide. It also said the process would also include the signing and issuance of final clearance letters by zonal inspectors to the outgoing Corps members. The Director General, Brigadier General Olakunle Nafiu, urged all the Corps members passing out, including the monitoring officers on assignment, a successful winding up and passing out exercise, and also called for closer attention to the 3-week training introduced Corps members introduced to core members to paramilitary drills, leadership development, entrepreneurship training under the Skills Acquisition and Entrepreneurship Development Program and Community Integration. Following the orientation, the core members are to be posted to their various places of primary assignment where they served in education, health, agriculture, and other critical sectors contributing to community development across the country. World Health Organization sounded the alarm over soaring numbers of drug-resistant bacterial infections, compromising the effectiveness of life-saving treatment and rendering minor injuries and common infections that are potentially deadly. United Nations Health Agency warned that 1 in 6 laboratory confirmed bacterial infections worldwide in 2023 showed resistance to antibiotic treatment, adding that bacteria have long developed resistance against medicines designed to fight them, rendering many drugs useless, and this has been accelerated by the massive use of antibiotics to treat humans, animals, and food. In a report on AMR surveillance, the WHO examined resistance prevalence estimates across 22 antibiotics used to treat infections of the urinary and gastrointestinal tract, the bloodstream, and those used to treat gonorrhea, adding that in the 5 years leading up to 2023, antibiotic resistance increased in over 40% of the monitored antibiotics, with an average annual rise of between 5 and 15%. The WHO also said more than 40% of E. coli infections and 55% of K. pneumoniae infections globally are now resistant to third-generation cephalosporins, and further hailed improvement in surveillance, but warned that 48% of countries were still not reporting any AMR data. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, a quick look through our top stories. Fubara appoints Benibo as new SSG in River State. INEC accredits 121 observers for governorship poll in Anambra. Federal government enforces no work, no pay against ASU members. CBN demands strong fiscal monetary coordination. EU plans Gaza-Egypt border monitoring mission Wednesday. NPFL condemns attack on shooting stars players and officials. I almost lost my life in June at Deswa Etomi. I am Favor Chikwesiri Michael. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on social media platforms, on Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. And don't forget, peace and unity and pathways to progress. Do have a pleasant night rest.